What is going on, guys? We are here with another Overprime video. How is everyone doing today? I'm here. I am finally doing an Iggy guide. I wanted to do it the day after, of course, but I was sick, as you guys know, and so I wasn't really playing much. But I'm feeling much better, so we're getting into it. We're starting to get back in the groove, and I decided I haven't played as much Iggy as I wanted to test this, but I do think making a guide for him, at least a generic guide, for you guys to know how he works and how basically how I would play him or how he's kind of designed in the game currently. There's a couple of different ways you can play this character. And overall, I think he released in a good spot. I don't think he's super broken or anything. I think there are times where he feels like kind of feels that way, but there's other times where he feels super weak. So I think he's mid tier. I think he's okay. I do like playing him. He's really fun. He's not my favorite mage ever, but he's different and he's new, so he's just more exciting. I do wish they gave him a speed up because I believe way back when he had some kind of extra movements, and I know he had an extra movement speed. He'd like glow blue and move really fast, and he had like an oil slick or something. So I wish one of those abilities were incorporated to make him move a little bit faster to maneuver around the battlefield easier instead of just relying on the actives, because technically you could always have an active, which it does recommend for him actually in the item list. But I don't know. I really want him to just have that built into his kit, and then he can also stack it with the boots so he can move even faster. I think that would be really cool. It wouldn't even be that broken, but it would allow him to reposition as well. There's also issues with his turrets and stuff where like they just die too fast late game, stuff like that. It's like he just needs a little bit of help. But anyways, I do really like him though. He's really fun. So we're gonna go over his entire kit, basically what he's about, what you have to do basically to kind of excel as Iggy, and the different build paths we'll go over later. But we're gonna go over every ability. So let's hop right into it. Starting off, Iggy. Obviously, he's a mid laner. His basic attacks are physical. He shoots with Scorch, little things. Really, really cute. I do like this dynamic duo going on here, which is one of his ability names, actually. It's just kind of cool having, like, a character on another, like, creature, basically. I hope Mako's going to be, like, as synergistic as Iggy is with this, like, creature, with this ball that he's going to have. I feel like they're going to be very similar in function. But yeah, Iggy, he's a very setup, heavy character. You do need a lot of setup to make him work. Basically, you can't really just sit there and do whatever you want. Like every other mage who kind of can just like outpoke. It's all about damage. He's more about setup and like defense. He's not really as aggressive as I wanted him to be, which is fine. But he's really good at holding objectives and like zoning off an area and getting objectives as well. He's also really good at getting objectives. But yeah, he's really fun. So obviously, like I said, his basic attack is physical damage. So we have his first most important ability here is going to be his turrets. Iggy throws a mini turret that shoots fireballs automatically. So if you throw it in range of something, it'll shoot fireballs at whatever target they're looking at, who's in the zone. You can see the radius indicated by the circle. So it's a pretty decent radius. I kind of wish, I think the distance is fine. I really do wish that there was an easier way to kind of set them up. Obviously you can see when I throw it out, it goes on cooldown, and we'll max it out later, but I think the lowest cooldown you can get is like, I think 4.8 or 5.2 with 40%. So, I really hope there's a way, or I really hope they add the ability to just stack them up, kind of like Twin Blast Grenades where you have 3 of them, except you could stack up as 4 turrets. That'd be really cool. But yep, automatically dealing 83 magical damage. It hits all enemies in the range for 45 seconds. So it lasts obviously a very long time. The mini turrets prioritize the target that Iggy is attacking. So whoever you're auto attacking, it'll prioritize, which is why a lot of people like to go attack speed on him. It's a good path. I like the attack speed path in him a lot. It allows me to do a little bit of more damage extra, considering all I can worry about is my turrets. And since they get destroyed so early late game, you do want something else to help you out. He has a passive though. He's number 4 for me. The passive deals 30 magical bonus damage. So every time you deal damage to a target, damage to someone with your basic attack, they take damage. It's basically Teardrop. Now this is compensation for Teardrop. Now it's not as good as Teardrop. The value on Teardrop technically is higher, but since your Teardrop doesn't work except with your right click, you could use Teardrop with full CDR if you really wanted to, and use your right click and always have it up. Not always, but have it up a lot. But for the most part, Teardrop doesn't work with his abilities. Most passives in the game, I haven't tested every passive personally, but I know most passives in the game don't actually work with this turret. So you can't just sit there and basically use all the normal items that you do with Iggy, because they just don't work. Obviously, all these recommended items, none of them really have passives that like slow or do any of that. They're all like stuff to boost Iggy himself, not to take advantage of his passive. Literally everything here, except maybe this one, I guess, technically, but it's any damage dealt, so it doesn't really matter. It counts as turrets because they kind of specify, but every other single one here doesn't interact with his abilities in a certain way. Like, for instance, Midi Moda, people have said it worked. I don't think it actually does with his turrets. So that doesn't work. Witch's Shoes don't work, for instance. Gloves of Jealousy, well, they, I mean, they do, I think they do proc it, but, like, basically just everything that has like a little passive associated with it doesn't actually work. Like, I'm pretty sure Vitality Lenses don't actually work with it. Pretty much everything you can think of. Teardrop doesn't work with it, with the turrets specifically. So you can't really utilize the normal items that you would be using. They have to be self buffs or like defensive or whatever they do, basically, that aren't just, hey, a proc based on the ability itself. It has to be something that's boosting your own power, which is why he's going to be built a little bit differently. But yeah, I mean, his turrets, again, are pretty solid. He has that dynamic duo ability to kind of help the turrets, because it's doing the magical damage extra for him. Whenever he hits someone, you get the 83, then you get the extra 24 every single time you hit someone with a turret, and it just keeps going for the next 3 seconds. So he's doing a lot of damage. His turrets do a crap ton, and you can have 4 down at a time. So it's pretty insane. Now, I'm gonna back up so I don't hear this that much. Sorry. Oh, I didn't know they deactivate when you're in a certain range. So the next ability is his right click, which is a canister that he throws out. Has a very long cooldown at base. You can get this really low, but it lasts for, I believe, 6 seconds. Yep. Iggy throws a flaming canister. The canister explodes on the ground, creating flames that deal 60 magical damage to all enemies, and it also reduces their magical defense by 25%. This ability is a fantastic magical shred. 25% extra reduction in magical damage is massive. It's something you would always want on your team if you have a heavy magical user base. Like if you had a Shinbi or something for jungle, or even solo, or an Aurora. This is an absolutely amazing ability to have on your team. 25% reduction, and it's so widespread. Like, it's so easy to just hit this when you're in a team fight. Super nice, great ability, and it lasts 6 seconds, which is really nice. So basically, you can argue that it's only a 6-second cooldown if you could play around it. I mean, you could throw it down, you can walk around it, and kind of fight over it if someone's chasing you. Which is really nice. I think Mini Moda does work with this ability. So if you really want a Mini Moda just to throw this down as like a mini escape, kind of to play around it, it does a shit ton of damage, as you can see also. 61 each at base with no items. So it does a lot of damage. This combined with his turrets when you're running around, he's going to be he can melt anyone really if they're kind of going for him, depending on his build. And then he has his ultimate, which we have to put turrets down for. We'll put one down. So his ultimate basically increases it by a 300%. Doesn't actually increase the damage, but it has piercing bullets, so it pierces anything. I don't know if it actually goes through walls, but it'll probably pierce minions to go through and hit everyone, which I think it normally does anyways if you're hitting a target, so it doesn't really matter. But it also slows people by 30% for 1 second, so you actually get a self-slow. So as you can see, there's a theme here with Iggy. He can't use actual items that like offer these things usually, except with his right click. But it doesn't really matter because it's built into his kit. And his ultimate's also on a very short cooldown. No CDR, I'm already at 40. So obviously you can see here, maxing out CDR is kind of a key theme with him. You do want to have max CDR, generally. And since he doesn't need all those, just like, you know, discussing the OP items that we normally build, because you just can't build them, you can kind of get away with doing other things. So yep, that's pretty much Iggy in a nutshell. I don't have any, the main thing I'll give you, the main piece of information that I've learned, I guess we'll show you actually his ability to tank things. I don't think I haven't been able to tank Orb, but you can actually take Spirit really quickly. We're going to do this with no items and see if we can do it, just to kind of give you a good demonstration here. So we're going to throw turrets down. Okay, I lied. No, I didn't lie. Let's see how fast we can take it. We're level 18 with no items, but setting up all the turrets here. You can actually do this with Spirit and take it pretty easily, even early game, and the turrets will take the damage, which is hilarious. I think that's kind of cheesy. I feel like no matter what you're hitting, it should go after you, except the tower, but yeah. All right. Okay, I can't see it for some reason, but I think we're killing it. But anyways, this is what, yeah, see? So you could do this, and you keep throwing the turrets, obviously. Look at that one down, right? They last a while, obviously, at max level. But you could solo objectives with Iggy pretty easily. It's really, really nice. People say he's better than Wukong. He's not. That's not true. He's not better than Wukong. But you can also ult, I guess, to make it go faster. But yeah, you could solo like Spirit super easily, especially late game. Like that was with no power. I know I'm level 18, but that zero power. So yeah, pretty strong. Just, you know, pretty good ability. And obviously, like I said, mostly, well, we're going to give you build recommendations later, but we're going to see at max CDR basically what we're working with. Now, normally, I do like to go attack speed, at least a little bit. People say don't go to this one because it's just more magical shred, which you don't really need. And I agree, you don't really need this. But I do like going a lot of attack speed on Iggy. Just because getting to like 1.7 is really nice. You don't really need this though, like I said. I'd rather just get this and go tanky. The recommended build isn't bad by any means. Having Margit is actually really, really good on him, I will say. I don't like building it often, but I can understand if you want a more damage-focused build. I definitely think Margit Stone is something you should probably consider. I think a core thing in his kit should always be boots. I think there's never a situation where you shouldn't have this. It's not the first item you need, in my opinion, but it's really, really good to have. I think, depending on what you're doing, you should always have that no matter what. Fruit of Greed is also a really good one, like I said, from the recommended. You can also go your Blink if you really want to. I think you probably on Iggy should have a Blink just to reposition a little bit better. But at the same time, you're supposed to be running through your turrets, so I think the boots accomplishes that for you. You kind of replace that with your boots. And then you could also just get Bunny, because really this is probably one of your best things to get, depending on how much power you have. Now, I don't think you actually need Fruit of Greed, to be honest. It's not bad, but you have to be next to your opponent. The 8 pen is great. The 25 magical is decent. 300 health is great, but you don't really need it that much, in my opinion. Margit Stone, more of one of those staples that you want. You usually want attack speed. Now, what I do for the last 2 items? Well, go as tanky as you can, because you're going to be getting hit a lot. But we're going to try to max out our CDR here to see. So let's just see Zymia's and, I don't know, Pendant, I guess. So we're at 40% CDR. So let's see here. So the cooldown for the turrets, 4.2. I was actually wrong. It's 4.2. That is massive. I mean, you're throwing turrets off cooldown. Definitely want max CDR because it is massive. You right click, basically has a 1 second downtime if they stay in it the entire time. Obviously they'll walk out of it, but you know, it's really nice to have this up more consistently. And then your ultimate has a 25-second cooldown. So you're absolutely blasting with this, with an Iggy full CDR build. And then you have the speed up to kind of maneuver and get your turrets in place. The only problem, like I said, is late game, they'll be 2-tapping, or a mage will be easily able to destroy your turrets. But Iggy's all about positioning. Now, again, the biggest tip I could give you on how to play him that I've learned is that when you're in lane and you're fighting, instead of throwing your turrets right like in front or on the side, usually, just throw it behind you and then do that. Because if they start pressing you and you throw your turrets behind, not only is it harder to hit, they'll hit you, right? Take the damage, you have a little bit of tankiness, whatever. But if they start pressing you, you start backing up, throw a turret down as you're backing up, and you have some behind you. It's extremely hard, spread them out a little bit too. It's extremely hard to kill them behind Iggy. Like, I mean extremely hard. I've had so much trouble getting, like, and also you can just make sure, again, they're spread out. But as you're backing up, you're a defensive character. They're pressing you. It's almost impossible to press an Iggy who's building and playing smart, because he'll back up to his turrets and barrage you, and unless you're a Gideon or something, or a Gadget, there's really no way to destroy all the turrets that fast. So even if you can kill Iggy, you'll take a lot of damage. You know, if you're in a team fight and Iggy does that much damage to you, and you're pressing him, well, you're taking a lot of damage. And honestly, I mean, I've melted tanks with this, you know, just not with this build, but like tanks in general, with just backing up and they're chasing me all the time, and I'll just sit there and maybe pop my boots and just run around kind of in circles, no turrets every single time I can. But yes, when you're laning, like I said, behind you, in my opinion, is the play. Because if you throw it up, all that's going to happen and you throw it in front of you, they're just going to destroy it. That's probably the biggest tip I can give you on Iggy. And then, like I said, just play defensively. Like, you know, just back up whenever you know, take any damage, because your turrets will always be behind you to like kind of blast them. I've learned, for me personally, that's how I play him. I don't know, everyone else, it's just really hard to kind of get the aggression going with Iggy, because throwing them forward and kind of chasing doesn't really work, because they'll step out of the range super easily, like literally just back up and they're out of it, and they can sit here and just destroy the turret if they wanted to with ability, or even 1 auto or 2 autos late game. And they can also kind of like walk around so they're not in all the turrets and kind of just destroy it. So in the jungle, he probably excels more, especially in the prime pit. Putting all those turrets up, if the orb doesn't destroy it, is really nice, especially in the bushes. But other than that, it's like, it's not the biggest, I don't know, it's not the easiest thing to set up, again, running forward. It's always about playing back. So very defensive character. You could set it up, like, also, if you're in front of an inhibitor, like if you're outside the tower, you can actually just If you're pressing them a lot, just set it up. Kind of set it like a little bit farther, but set it up so that the fact that they can't step out at all if they start pressing you. You can put it behind you if you want, but you can set it up kind of like in front of the inhibitor. Far enough to where they put themselves in danger trying to destroy them. But it's funny, setting them up in front of the inhibitor and kind of just blasting them as they come out if they decide to chase you, even if you're low, which is really nice. And then, like I said, if you get jumped, just pop this, and then, you know, pop your ult, and then pop the E, and just absolutely watch them get melted. So, yep, that's kind of how Iggy's played. That's all the tips I have for you guys. I know it's not the most in-depth guide, personally. But I'm not a pro Iggy player, so, you know, there's a couple of people I saw that were pretty good with Iggy. Not many, but a couple. Again, people say he's bad, people say he's good. I like him a lot. I think he was a great release character. He feels really nice. Honestly, I loved Wukong too. Aside from the failure of stances that he has, non-stance Wukong feels really nice. So I think the two characters that were released so far, they've done a good job in terms of making them feel good, depending on which way you play them. If you play them a certain way, like I said, Iggy used to be this like run and gun aggressive player. He didn't have to be super defensive because he was super fast. He's not like that anymore, but he still feels really good the way you could play him. He's just fun too. He's really fun. I love baiting people and watching them get absolutely blasted. Also, he's really good at handling 2v1s. If you get ganked, it's so hard to get in on him, especially if you don't have a lot of defense. It's so fun watching someone just get absolutely blasted because they decided not to go, you know, max defense and just get destroyed by Iggy's turrets. So he's really good at handling 2v1s, and if your team is playing the game, he's, no matter what, I think he's going to be a valuable teammate if you play him correctly. But yep. Anyways, we're going to go into the build segment now. Again, I have a couple of builds ready, but not too much, so let's go right over there. So the Iggy build, here we are with the kind of like the build layout here, starting with the skills. As you can see, oh dude, look at my wife Adele. Sorry. Oh, Crunch is now added, by the way. I went over this last video about his skills and stuff, so if you guys are interested in seeing basically what he's about, you can go watch predecessor gameplay or old gameplay, but if you don't want to, you can read all the skills here and basically how they did them in this game. Really fun. Anyways, Iggy. So I like to usually start with the turret. Oh, I obviously always start with the turret. I think it's a no-brainer. But then the second ability I usually like to get is the oil slick and then the dynamic duo, because this isn't really going to have a lot of value early game anyways. But I do like to level this second, because the oil slick usually, it's not something that people are going to walk into a lot until the end of the game anyways. You're not going to be team fighting a lot early. So I just upgrade it last usually and just start with dynamic duo just to do extra damage with the turrets. But if you want to upgrade this first, I could see that. But I think always prioritize your ult, since you're going to be spamming the crap out of it, which I do recommend. Whenever you can use your ultimate, at least with one or two, I think with two, even one turn, honestly, just spam it because it's such a short cooldown, who cares? But upgrade it when you can so you have the shortest cooldown, even at 2, but then you get to 3 and it's massive. But yep. This is the Iggy layout that I like. Usually, like I said, just, you know, turret and ult mostly focus on, and then, or turret ult mostly focus on, then you can focus on a dynamic duo. Now the build, I don't really have a really good Iggy build, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like an insanely good Iggy or anything. These are just my recommendations, what I usually like to build on him. Aside from Markenstone, I never really build that on him ever, but I do like to imagine it's really good considering his kit. There might be a better item out there, but as far as I'm aware, since he can't make use of most of the really OP items from mages, this is what we got to work with. So, as you can see, our core theme here is usually having Pendant, and then the attack speed is, and then Markenstone, usually a staple. High end is debatable, but honestly, I really like high end on him just because it negates a lot of damage from physicals. You can change it out for something else if you really want to. Flare's ID, again, same thing, but I think as long as you and I think Victorious Footsteps is kind of a staple in this thing. So if you want to take out for the second build, if you really want Victorious Footsteps, you can actually sell Blue Heart, honestly, just for that, so you get the speed up, which might be more beneficial for your positioning. But if you want to play more of a stationary tank build, that's just kind of why I put that there. You can really do it however you want. I like the first build a lot more than the second build, to be fair. But I actually like starting off as a tank. So starting off with Pendant is probably better for this build, and then going the same route. So you go Pendant into attack speed, but going attack speed first is cheaper and feels really good, just because you have that extra attack speed. So depending on what you want, there you go. Pendant first is going to make you win the lane because you still do a lot of damage, but if you want to go attack speed first, it's up to you. I said it for people who probably are going to like Iggy for damage, then you want attack speed first, but me personally, I'd go Pendant, then into attack speed, then into Footsteps, Markenstone, Flares ID, high end. That's what I would do. But anyways, second build, like I said, similar. This is more of a physical rush, basically, to get your tankiness online, so you go Pendant, as usual, which is what I would do with the first build too, into attack speed. Then you go into anti-crit, just for the negation of like if you have a Revenant or something, or a carry who's focusing you, and even a jungler. The 50 physical is massive. It's also the reason why I did this instead of high end is because it's super cheap. High end's 3,200. This is 2,375. You're getting a lot more value out of that. So I'd recommend going Guardian of Hylian first, no matter what, and then high end, just because as a mid laner, you could rush this item and then keep going. And you know, like it's almost 1,000 gold difference. So definitely worth it to get this online faster, and you just negate a lot of damage. Then you go Market Stone, obviously. You get more physical, again, kind of like a physical rush, like I said. Then you get more physical as well with high end. Now, if the magicals are more of a problem, I think pendant's enough to keep you stationary and you're positioning well. You want to go blue heart, but if you really want footsteps, you could replace high end with footsteps and then go high end last, depending on what you want. Or you can go a blink if you really want to over this, if you just want to reposition. Like I said, no perfect Iggy build for me, but this is kind of just like what I like to do genuinely, at least from what I've played personally. I actually have never built blue heart on him, but I thought, you know, you need some kind of magical and you still want a lot of power, then go that. This build is a little bit less powerful, but more health and more tankiness. This build is more powerful, but you know, less tankiness. So choose what you want to use. You can also use your own builds. I just recommend do not go full damage. It's just usually not worth it. You'll get farmed, you'll die. Good players will eat you alive. Definitely want to go hybrid in my opinion. Or even you can go full tank if you really want to, but I think that's a waste. I think hybrid is the way to go on him. They even recommend it to you. So yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it. For Iggy, and then I'll starter also blue and gray. Unfortunately, green just doesn't feel powerful enough to use it, so I just recommend blue or gray. Gray, if you really just want to be able to get out of situations faster, you won't be upgrading this. You could for the attack speed, but I don't think it's worth. And then blue is probably the one you're going to go with most likely. So I have used gray before and it has helped, but blue is probably better just in general. You're not probably going to upgrade it, but if you want to, again, you get a free blink, so, or like a shorter blink. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the build. I hope you guys enjoyed the build video. I know I haven't made one of these in a while. Sorry, like I said, I wanted to make a Shinbi one before Iggy came out, but I got sick, so I wasn't able to make it. But I will be making the Shinbi guide hopefully soon. I want to get it out before Crunch, but I might not. I haven't played. I need to play a little bit more of Shinbi to kind of like gauge it better, you know, to understand it more, because I feel like I know what I want to build on her, but sometimes I like to change it up. So I play her a lot, so I know how to play her at the very least. I really do like Shinbi quite a bit. She just came out in Pred too. I actually might make a video on that. I haven't played Pred in a while, and I saw she came out. I don't know how good she is, but maybe that'll be a little fun video, just kind of change it up a little bit for the different Paragon games, the Para-Zombies. But now that she's out, I might actually play Pred. So yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the Iggy guide. Link will be down below for the build, so if you guys want to check that out, definitely take a look. But yep, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully the next video will be a guide for Shinbi, but it probably will be just like a VOD. I got a Twin Blast skin that I need to put a VOD up of, or like a VOD replay up of. I have a Aurora games that I need to put up because I love Aurora. She's so goddamn good right now. If you guys are using Aurora, play her every single game. She's so much fun, and she just slaps now. And then Countess is another insanely broken character right now. I've seen her dominate every single time I see her. She's massively overpowered in my opinion right now. She does way too much damage way too easily now and can out-trade anyone in the mid lane, at least from my experience from seeing her. Her poke game basically has increased with like it took off like 4 seconds from her one ability, which is insane. And she heals now, so she's insane. But yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.